I just wish we would have known earlier. Those were the words of a parent that I spoke to just a few weeks ago. She was referring to the first time that she heard that her child had autism. Her son was diagnosed at age 2, which by today's standards is relatively young. But here's something more. She also told me that she knew that something wasn't quite right with her son's development when he was as young as 4 months old. That means that this mom had 18 months to wait and wonder. Her son is now almost 3, and he's doing quite well after about a year of early intervention. But seeing how hard they've had to work to get him to this point is what makes her say that she wishes they knew earlier and got started sooner. But before you can begin to treat, you need a diagnosis. So what if her son was identified not at 24 months, but at 12 months? That would have given the family another full year of intervention. How might his life be different now in the future if he's had 2 full years of intervention by age 3 instead of just 1? Well, we'll never know, because that year was robbed from this family by a disrupted pathway from parent concerns to diagnosis. This pathway is riddled with barriers due to misinformation about autism, misguidance by some professionals, and long wait lists to get just about anything meaningful done. A parent should never have to wait 18 months to find out if there's something wrong with their child before they can do something about it. If diagnosis is needed before you can begin treatment, there shouldn't be any barriers to diagnosis. High-quality developmental evaluation should be immediately accessible to any family that has any type of genuine concerns about their child's development. At SARRC, we're conducting a project that is smoothing this pathway. We're working in collaboration with Drs. Karen Pierce and Eric Courchain, 2 of the leading researchers in early detection at UCSD. Now, in their lab, they investigate many different methods of early detection, things like infant eye tracking, brain scans, genetics, and proteomics, all high-tech, very sophisticated stuff. But our project hinges upon a very simple paper and pencil questionnaire. Why? Because it's easy to use, it's inexpensive, and right now represents the most accurate method of screening there is. They conducted a similar project in their area a few years back. And what they found was that they were actually able to change the thinking of the medical community. Pediatricians in San Diego believe that you can identify autism as early as 12 months. They believe it because they've seen it actually happen, and they've seen how doing so actually benefits the children in their community. Before we started our project about a year and a half ago, we collected the same kind of data from our medical community, and we found that most pediatricians here did not believe that you could identify autism as early as 12 months. Now, many of the pediatricians here, they follow the recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics, and they collectively, the largest percentage of them believed that you could identify autism at 18 months and 24 months. But then there was a handful of individuals who also said that a child had to be 36 months before you can identify autism. Clearly, we need to instigate some kind of systems change here. The specific purpose of our project is to lower the age of diagnosis in Phoenix and get kids who are identified with autism into treatment by age 36 months. Now, here's how this project works. First, we created a pediatric screening network. We recruited 107 pediatricians working at various practices all around the valley. And these pediatricians all agreed to follow our very simple screening procedures at the 12, 18, and 24-month well baby visit. It's a triple screen procedure, meaning that all kids are screened 3 times before they turn 2. We think that this is the best way to avoid having children slip through the cracks. Second, the family goes into the pediatrician's office, they fill out the screening questionnaire, and if a child doesn't get enough points on that screening questionnaire, they get immediately referred to SARRC for a free developmental evaluation. Third, the family comes into SARRC and they get evaluated. Now, not every child who gets evaluated meets criteria for autism. For those who don't, and they get a clean bill of health, we follow up with that family once per year until that child turns 3. This way, we catch any child whose problems might emerge at later ages. For the families that do meet criteria, we meet with that family and we give them all the tools and resources that they need to take the next step and continue moving forward and get something started with the child's treatment. Outside of our screening network, it might seem that lowering the age of diagnosis is impossible. Whoops. Is impossible. Outside of our screening network, it might seem that lowering the age of diagnosis is impossible. I say this because recent data from the CDC indicate that only 39% of all children with autism receive a developmental evaluation by age 3. Only 39%. That means that more than half of them are diagnosed at later ages. This is so troubling to me because it means that we are not taking advantage of all that we know about the benefits of early intervention. We've known this for 2 decades. I don't understand how it hasn't translated yet into practice to lower the age of diagnosis. But I can say that within our project, we are making that possible. 100% of all the children in our project receive a developmental evaluation long before the age of 3. And here's something more. Just last year, 68 children in our project were diagnosed shortly after their 12-month well baby visit. We're making that possible. That's early detection. Sorry. That was very jarring, by the way, that piece of paper falling on the ground. Because of this project, there is a much better likelihood, right, that these children that are identified in our project will attend school in a mainstream classroom right next to their typical peers. And they'll need minimal supports to keep moving forward. There's a better likelihood that these children will attend college one day and they'll get more productive, sustainable employment. And that will help them to lead better, more productive, independent lives in the future. The project that we're doing will have a profound effect on the autism community today and in the future. Consider this. Last year, we identified more than 200 children with autism. That's 200 children that will reap the benefits of early intensive intervention. So we're creating a higher functioning cohort now that will be moving forward into the future. That's 200 families that will never know the stress of not knowing. And they will never sit in my office and tell me that they just wish they got started earlier. For them, we've given them the gift of time. Time that can be better spent on early intervention rather than waiting and wondering. So you can tell I'm very enthusiastic about this project. But just imagine how these families must feel. So at this point, we'd like you to hear it directly from them. So we're going to show you a short video about just 3 of those 200 families and how their lives have been changed by this project and SARRC. Let's take a look.